I did Wim Hof breathing every day for 30 days. And I've done a lot of these 30-day challenges in a bunch of different ways with a bunch of different things. This one, though, was super interesting.
Oh, hi, Mark.
What's up, Freccero fam? Welcome back to my channel where I like to experience everything that life has to offer. So like I said in the intro, I've done a lot of 30-day challenges. I think it's just fun to pick something and do it for 30 days, see how it affects you. And Wim Hof has been on my radar for a long time. In case you don't know who he is, he's gotten a tremendous amount of attention as he's been nicknamed the Iceman by breaking a number of records related to cold exposure, including climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in shorts, running a half marathon above the Arctic Circle barefoot, and standing in a container well covered with ice cubes for more than 112 minutes. And I've heard about Wim Hof for a long time. I feel like if you're into health and fitness and just biohacking, or in general, if you're just interested in the body and the mind's potential, if that's the best way to word it, you've probably heard of Wim Hof. He's one of the few people I feel like that talks a lot about things like, oh, I can run in sub-0 degree weather wearing just shorts, and that's it, and can actually prove it scientifically. In addition, as another example, under strict scientific study, they tried to make Wim Hof sick, to word that super simply, and were unable to given his immune system using all these different techniques he has developed. And there have been a lot of mind over body people throughout the years that say one thing. Uri Geller's a really good example of this. They say one thing, but then in actual practicality under strict scientific study, their claims kind of fall apart. Because again, there's a lot of people in a lot of different mind body things you read about, whether it's books or articles or TV shows. They just kind of say one thing, but in actual practicality can't really back up their claims. Wim Hof can. This has led Wim Hof to be featured in numerous different places and, of course, tons of podcasts, such as Andrew Huberman's podcast or Tim Ferriss's podcast, and a lot more. And when it comes to the Wim Hof method, there are mainly three staples. One is cold water or cold water therapy. Second one is breathing. And then third is basically the mental commitment and the whole mental side of the entire Wim Hof method. And so for this video, and what I did for this experiment, is I really want to focus on Wim Hof breathing. This has gotten a lot of attention. In addition, this is the YouTube video I used. This is 100% free, right? You just watch the YouTube video and follow along. And so for this challenge, I really want to try doing the Wim Hof breathing for 30 days. I wasn't too sure what to expect, as I'm not gonna lie, I have tried things like meditation every day for 30 days, or NSDR every day for 30 days, or Yoga Nidra every day for 30 days. I found for me, it didn't just have the effect that other people get from it, right? I know a lot of people love meditation. There's been a bajillion studies to show how powerful meditation is, but for me, I didn't really personally ever get anything out of doing meditation every day for 30 days, gotta be honest. With Wim Hof breathing, though, I did. With that all being said, what exactly is Wim Hof breathing? It's actually pretty simple. Now, I want to say as a quick side note, Wim Hof did post a YouTube video. I have a link listed below in the description if you want to watch it. That is the exact YouTube video I used every day, and it's a very easy follow along YouTube video. And what's good about this is it's completely free. You just click that YouTube video, you follow along with the instructions. It's very intuitive and very easy to do. Now, in terms of the Wim Hof breathing, there's mainly three different phases. First off, you do want to get comfortable. Secondly, you do 30 deep breaths, non-stop, one right after the other. Next, in terms of the second phase, you blow out and hold as long as you can. And then on the third phase, you then breathe in a huge breath, hold for 15 seconds, and repeat. That is one round. On that YouTube video I mentioned that I used and that he posted, and there's been millions of views on that video, you do typically 3 rounds on that video. On that follow along video, on the first round, you breathe out and hold for a minute, and then on the next 2 rounds, after you breathe out, you want to hold for 1.5 minutes. I do want to say as a quick side note, the biggest thing is to hold as long as possible. So in the beginning, that might be tough, and I will talk about my own personal experience trying this because I struggle with it a little bit, I'll be honest. When it comes to the breathing protocol, it's pretty simple. Like I said, you breathe in and out 30 times. On that last time you breathe out, you hold as long as you can. Then you breathe in, hold for 15 seconds, and repeat for as many times as you want. Now, there have been a lot of benefits demonstrated by doing Wim Hof breathing. If you look at that YouTube video and just read the comments, the amount of comments even from people saying, oh my God, this changed my life, this changed my entire perspective on life, etc., it's pretty insane. Just scroll through those comments and you can see a lot of comments like this. Now, in terms of the benefits though, it increases more energy in your everyday life, reduces stress levels, which can help with conditions like anxiety and depression, and improves your immune system, which may help fight off infections or improve symptoms in autoimmune diseases, better sleep, more willpower, focus, and determination in your day-to-day activities. There are a couple other benefits I did personally notice as well in addition to that, but before I get into that, I want to talk about my structure when using Wim Hof breathing. So here's my protocol for this challenge and what I did. First off, I actually tried in the beginning, I stress in the beginning, to do both the cold shower and Wim Hof breathing at the exact same time. My mindset was like, well, it's killing two birds with one stone. I wake up, jump in the cold shower, and I do Wim Hof breathing at the same time. I found it didn't go well for a couple different reasons. One, I didn't like doing, I think especially in the beginning, the cold shower and Wim Hof breathing. I really wasn't experienced with doing cold showers every day for 30 days and Wim Hof breathing at all. So I felt like because I was a bit of a newbie with Wim Hof breathing, I had some experience with cold showers, but I was a definite newbie with Wim Hof breathing. Trying both at the same time just didn't really go well. The second thing was the timing. I did not like doing Wim Hof breathing in the morning. Now it does depend upon who you are. There are some people who prefer it in the morning, or maybe mid-afternoon or night. It really depends. You can pretty much do it any time of day. It doesn't really matter. With cold showers, for example, as I talked about in that cold shower video that I did, in the morning is actually optimal. With Wim Hof breathing, it doesn't really matter when you do it. For me personally, it was kind of weird to like wake up and be like, all right, getting ready to start my day. Okay, now let's calm down. I didn't like that feeling of having to calm down immediately after I woke up. In addition, I love my mornings, so I didn't like doing it in the morning. I know a lot of people, when I've read, it seems like they do it a lot midday, and it makes sense. It's a great break in your day. Like, let's say you wake up, you get a bunch of work done, then you do Wim Hof breathing as a great break from the day, and then you continue working. I also personally didn't like that. At least for me, I feel like once I start my day, after let's say doing a morning cold shower, and my morning stuff, once my day gets going, I felt like that even though the Wim Hof breathing on average is only about like 10 or 11 minutes, it's very quick. If you think about it, it's not like a half an hour or an hour long. It's pretty fast, to be honest. I felt like for me, it kind of stopped the flow in my day personally when I tried doing it midday. And this is not just Wim Hof breathing. Any kind of meditation or breathing exercise during the day just never does well for me, because the only way I can describe it is as if like I'm working out, I have to take a 10-minute break to do a phone call or something, and then I try getting back into my workout, and I almost have to like warm up again, or I kind of lose that flow that I had in my workout. That's how I feel when it comes to working. I pretty much work from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, nonstop. So doing the Wim Hof breathing during the day, gotta be honest, didn't really work for me. However, most people that I've seen or talked to love doing it during the day, as it's a great break during the day to kind of refresh your mind and kind of like get back on track. Like say if you are procrastinating a little bit or been working super hard, it's a great break, and I can definitely see that. And as you can imagine, because it didn't really work for me in the morning or midday, nighttime was the time I did it. I did Wim Hof breathing before I went to bed, and it had a pretty profound impact on a lot of different things. So that being said, let's get to my own personal experience. First off, in terms of the benefits that I noticed personally, want to start there. One, I got way better sleep when I did Wim Hof breathing before going to bed than when I didn't. This does depend person to person. One of my friends, for example, is the exact opposite. She told me if she does Wim Hof breathing right before she goes to bed, it actually keeps her up. So it does depend person to person, I will say. But when it comes to Wim Hof breathing, it was so noticeable, and I want to mention this on this video. If I have to be honest, technically, I didn't do Wim Hof breathing every day for 30 days. I think there were 2 or 3 days that I missed. Being honest, I forgot about it. I was working all day. I went to bed. I just forgot. To be honest, I just forgot. And I'm kind of glad in hindsight that happened, because it was very noticeable when I did Wim Hof breathing than when I didn't. It was, I guess pun intended, night and day from when I would do Wim Hof breathing to when I wouldn't in terms of my sleep quality. In addition, I did notice, I don't really have like anxiety or depression, to be honest, but I did notice that I felt more calm throughout the day throughout these 30 days. Now that's the biggest thing I have noticed when reading a lot of comments and more of people's experience when doing Wim Hof breathing, just in terms of anecdotal evidence. so to speak, is that most people say, wow, this cured my anxiety. Now, I want to stress, I'm not a doctor. I never pretend to be one. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a psychologist. None of that. And of course, these are comments on YouTube, so I do like to take it with a grain of salt. However, on that Wim Hof breathing video, there's hundreds, or excuse me, thousands of comments of people saying how much this changed their life, especially removing anxiety. In addition, I also noticed I was less stressed. That, let's say when I was working all day, going from one thing to the next, I felt a lot more calm and a lot more relaxed while doing it. The big benefit that I did notice breathing, I mean, it's probably not surprising, because you're blowing out and holding for as long as you can, you're gonna get better at holding your breath and breathing in general. And so I noticed that not necessarily that my fitness improved. I wanna stress that my fitness did not improve, but in certain activities, let's say that required more breathing, I felt like I was better at doing it. Like one interesting example, and I don't know why, is I found, and this is super noticeable, that after doing Wim Hof breathing, I could stay in the sauna longer. It was very, very noticeable. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, because the sauna, you're just sitting there, it's heat, right? So I don't know exactly why those two things carry over, but I noticed, for example, I could stay in the sauna longer. In addition, I noticed that although my fitness didn't improve per se, I noticed that, let's say, after doing a given workout, I was supposed to be in like super out of breath, I felt more controlled in my breathing and didn't feel out of breath as much. Now, granted, I didn't really test this out by going for a run and seeing how it affected, but I did feel like that my breath control, which of course is super important in any physical activity, my breath control got a lot better and less haphazard. I felt that I could just control my breath more and return back to baseline a lot quicker and efficient, which was super interesting. Now, there are a couple of things I noticed that did help improve Wim Hof breathing for me. One, I will say in the beginning, and I mentioned this a bit earlier in this video, I struggled with the breath hold a little bit, and you will get better. It's interesting that after each round, holding your breath, even after you've completely breathed out, becomes significantly easier. In the beginning, I'll be super honest, I could only do like 30 seconds. And I'm like, how can anyone completely breathe out and hold for 30 seconds? And then I got a lot better at letting my body relax. There are some unique physical sensations as well. He does mention this in that video that your hands and feet might start tingling. The physical sensations are a bit weird, I'll be honest. But after breathing out, I remember in the beginning being like, how do you hold it for more than 30 seconds? And then fast forward to the end of the 30 days, I was easily doing a minute and a half, and I'd be like, oh, the minute and a half is up. Okay, I'll continue with the next round. So it is pretty cool, I will say as well, to see my progress throughout the 30 days, that I actually got better and better with breathing, holding my breath, controlling my breath, and more. One massive change I made about halfway through that I really wish someone told me earlier is this: passive breathing versus active. Now, I mentioned before that meditation, for some reason, just never really did it for me. Maybe I could try it again, right? I know there's like a bunch of meditative styles out there, but I think the biggest reason why is sitting and just doing nothing seems a bit just, I don't know, boring to me. I gotta be honest. And with Wim Hof breathing, the first couple weeks, I'll be like, all right, 30 breaths. And I kind of go through the motions. I just kind of did it because I told myself I'd do this challenge or whatever. And then I was talking to one of my friends, and she told me, yeah, the Wim Hof breathing can be like kind of intense. I'm like, what do you mean by intense? That seems a bit odd. And she said, from her perspective, when you do Wim Hof breathing, it kind of simulates, and I stress the word kind of, in a very, 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 very small controlled manner. You're putting your body into a very controlled fight or flight situation. And when she said that, I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Now, granted, I do want to say there are numerous different ways to kind of approach Wim Hof breathing, and of course, just breathing exercises in general. But my benefits went from this to this. They blew up the second I kind of changed the game. And as opposed to being passive, which I genuinely thought most breathing exercises are, right? Most breathing techniques or exercises, you're breathing casually, you're focusing on your breath, it's very calm and relaxed. The second I kind of switched it up and I said, you know what if I treat Wim Hof breathing like a workout? My benefits skyrocketed almost, I guess, literally overnight, right? Because I do it at night. That was a huge game changer for me. Now, granted, everybody's different. Some people might say, hey, you know what? I do it casually, it's relaxing, it calms me down, and afterwards I feel great. For me though, I got way more benefits out of it, and I liked it way more too when I thought of it like a workout. And the way I looked at it in my mind in terms of the workout was 30 reps, isometric hold for max, 15-second isometric hold. That is 1 round. Repeat however many times you want, but in that video, he does it for 3 rounds. And again, this could be my own personal thing. Maybe other people might disagree, but the second I started treating it, like I said earlier, not as just passive breathing as and just doing it passively, going through the motions, but active breathing, like actively breathing, it was such a game changer. I'm telling you, massive game changer. With that all being said, now in terms of the benefits, the fact that it's super easy and quick, you can watch that YouTube video for free, or you can just do it on your own for free, and all you're doing is breathing. It doesn't require any extra equipment, etc., etc. What are the negative aspects? One, like I said earlier, especially when I was treating it like a workout, I was putting my body in like a controlled fight or flight situation. So I do want to say for some people, maybe if you do treat it like a workout, it might be a little bit overwhelming, right? So I do want to say that as a side note. So I do suggest if you are looking to do this for the first time, watch that YouTube video and follow along. It's very easy and intuitive. Then over time, ramp up the intensity. One big benefit of the Wim Hof breathing is because you're kind of simulating like that fight or flight response. Like I mentioned, a lot of people who, like say, do have anxiety or who are prone to panic attacks, because it simulates it a little bit, it helps alleviate those symptoms in a controlled way over time. That's why you see a lot of people saying, wow, this completely changed my life. I don't have anxiety anymore. My panic attacks have gone away, etc., etc. But I do want to mention as a first negative point that who knows, maybe for you, you start doing it, you ramp up the intensity, and it does cause a panic attack or maybe more anxiety or whatever. That is something that I just want to mention just in case. The second big negative, and this is a big one, is blacking out. What I'm talking about is, as you can imagine, the whole idea of breathing hard, holding your breath, and all this kind of stuff, you can potentially pass out or lose consciousness. I do feel like I have to mention this because there are some people who say, hey, I'm gonna go into an ice bath or a cold plunge and do Wim Hof breathing at the same time. Do not do this. I've heard them called shallow water blackouts, but there have been people, unfortunately, who have drowned by doing Wim Hof breathing or just breathing exercises in general in their bathtub or in a cold plunge that can have detrimental and or fatal consequences. So I want to stress, like I say, if you are planning on doing this, do not do it in water whatsoever. Now, I will say for me, I never once passed out or lost consciousness. However, I could easily see why you could, being honest. You know, especially like say if there's one day or one night where I went super hard, right? Again, I treat it like a workout. There were a couple times where afterwards I'm like, whoa, I feel kind of lightheaded. Like it took me about 5 or 10 minutes to kind of come back to reality, so to speak. And that's why I want to mention that there's a fine but definite line between pushing yourself, of course, and going a little too much, especially when it comes to potentially losing consciousness and passing out. This is something you definitely need to be aware of. With that all being said now, what about the future? Is this something I'm gonna do forever? Is it the type of thing that I did once and I'm probably never gonna do again? Being honest, I noticed a lot of benefits from Wim Hof breathing, and especially the body sensation is super unique. It's kind of interesting that I've done tons of other breathing exercises, never really felt a tingly sensation in my hands or feet, or this kind of body high or something like that, but you do get that when doing Wim Hof breathing. It's a very unique physical sensation. Just in general, it's kind of cool, to be honest. And again, all you're really doing is breathing. In addition, like I said, it's completely free to do. All you do is watch the YouTube video and follow along. You can do it a bunch of times. It's not like you're taking an extra supplement that costs money. It's pretty easy and pretty quick to do. I feel like Wim Hof breathing for me personally is the kind of thing I'm gonna use as a tool to do every once in a while. Let's say if I can't fall asleep, or let's say I've had a day where my mind's racing and I just need to calm my mind down for a second. Wim Hof breathing is perfect for that. I mean, hey, like say if I'm traveling and I'm out and about and I don't have my phone on me to watch the YouTube video, I can just do the protocol as I remember. I will say though, I feel like for me, counting the 30 breaths takes me out of it a little bit. That's why I like the YouTube video, because I could follow along and really get into it without worrying, being like, wait, have I done 15 breaths? Or am I at 20? Or did I do 18? Right? I don't have to worry about losing count or losing my place. That's why the YouTube video is so helpful. But it is pretty cool that I feel like now I've acquired a new tool in my toolkit that any single time, like say I need to calm down or get ready, let's say you have to give a presentation at work. Let's say you are nervous about doing something new for the first time and you just want to calm your nerves. Wim Hof breathing before doing, let's say, a potential stressful activity like public speaking is a classic example of this. Doing Wim Hof breathing before doing any stressful activity or just anything that might be a bit anxiety provoking is excellent, or just in general for mental and physical health. Wim Hof breathing is incredible.